the administration has announced plans to negotiate a new trade deal called the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Lobbyists for the giant corporations are celebrating the IPEF as the second coming of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now, there's a reason that the original TPP was derailed. It would have offshored more jobs to countries that use child labor and prison labor and pay workers almost nothing. Let me be clear. The IPEF cannot be TPP 2.0. Ambassador Tai, you will lead the negotiations on a key pillar of this new framework on fair and resilient trade. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo will lead the negotiations on several other pillars, and I urge the chairman to schedule a public hearing with her soon as well. But I want to ask you about your approach to these new negotiations. Ambassador Tai, you have included labor and climate as your two top areas of focus in these negotiations. Are you committed to including strong, enforceable commitments in these two areas in IPEF and extending trade benefits only to countries that can meet these standards?
Senator Warren, thank you so much for this question, and thank you for highlighting the objectives that we've put out, including in our Federal Register notice recently. The short answer is yes, and the reason why these two areas are listed at the top of our list is to indicate that in the exercise of setting high standards, that one of the areas where the United States has consistently led around the world has been in incorporating strong, enforceable labor and environment standards to demonstrate our commitment to the importance of these areas in our competitiveness and in our terms of trade.
Good. I know that you're also going to be negotiating rules on the digital economy. Tech companies like Facebook and Amazon are a huge part of global trade, and they're also involved in spreading misinformation, mistreating workers, and squashing competition. They also hire hordes of lobbyists to protect their appalling way of doing business. Ambassador Tai, will you ensure that any new digital trade rules promote competition so they benefit workers, consumers, and small businesses, and not just a handful of big tech companies?
Well, Senator Warren, let me assure you that one of our guiding principles in all of our exercises, but in particular in the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework and the digital pillar, the digital component of the trade pillar, is to ensure that our stakeholders' views are represented robustly and comprehensively, so that that table of advice and input is going to reflect our entire economy, not just parts of it.
I'm very glad to hear that, and I very much appreciate your demonstrated commitment to labor, environmental, and competition standards. But frankly, I'm worried that these higher standards will only be included in the trade pillar that you are responsible for negotiating. Secretary Raimondo will lead the negotiations on the three other pillars. And when she listed her priorities, labor standards and competition were absent. Based on this and her other comments, I am concerned that her approach will boost profits for giant corporations, the ones that offshore jobs and squash small businesses. That should be a non-starter in our negotiations.